Hi, it's Phoebe Everill from the Phoebe Everill School for Wood. The surface grinder is all about sharpening jointer blades, jointer and thickness of blades really. But this particular machine will do more than that for you because it'll also do your plain blades, and it also has an adapter that will do your drill bits. So we're going to work through the how to set this machine up and how to get the best from it. How do we actually get this jointer blade sharpened straight? Obviously that's the reason why we bought the jig, is that I want to get a really true result from this blade, and then once I've trued up the jig I can run all the rest of the blades for this jointer. So I've got 3 more to do after this. Same setting from the first one. Okay, first of all, remove the nuts and washers from the guard. Stop pretending you can see. So much better. This jig is really useful because you can actually do a number of widths. So you're not set to one width of blade. And I'm using a pretty large one here. Okay, guard off. Quite a solid piece of steel, which is nice. Okay, I want to show you the adjustments inside here. This is the blade that I'm going to be sharpening. So it's going to sit in the middle of the jig with the bevel down. This is how I adjust with these 3, because these 2 are actually outside the blade and I'd only be using it if I was using a longer blade. So I'm going to go in the middle of the jig. Really important, you either have to have a set of calipers, which I suggest if you're going to do something like this you really need a set of calipers, or I've got a gorgeous little sliding, very accurate sliding square which will do the job perfectly well as also. Now what I want you to do right in here is we have to get the 3 of these bolts in exactly the same alignment, so no gaps. So if necessary just back them off slightly and then bring them down to the blade. Check that they're all perfectly aligned. Otherwise we're going to end up with a crooked sharpen, and if we end up with a crooked sharpen it means that on your jointer or thicknesser, depending on where you're using your blades, you're going to be hitting one blade in one spot and not right across all of them. So that means that you wear that sharpening out very quickly. Alright, now I can sit my blade in, dislocate, bring the guard back on top. Bit of a juggle this spot, but it's okay because you've got those pins, these 3, just to push the blade up against. And now I'm just going to relocate. I usually go to the center one and then I can adjust the pivot backwards and forwards. Pivot it backwards and forwards to get it true square. Just loosely, don't tighten anything up. Now careful obviously if this blade is still sharp. Mine's as blunt as all heck, so it's not an issue. I'm just pushing it up firmly against these 3 because these are the ones that are providing us with the squarosity. Okay, ready to go. Okay, we're all set up. It's time to take some of those chips out and let's make some sparks. I very famously set fire to my shirt once doing this job because you are actually working with sparks. So but everything's positioned now with the sparks running away from me. Okay, not so concerned about noise. As you can tell, this machine is not loud. So we're just going to run the blade over. It's going to take a few passes to get right, and I may need to adjust because I've got these bad chips in this one. Whenever Timbecon sends me something to play with, I bring something really Manky out. So you can see by the fact that it didn't hit the start, and it's not hitting the middle, that this blade was not straight. So that's what this machine's going to do for you. Which is super cool. Just let the machine find the high spot. Okay, so this is our jointed blade, and it's looking pretty sweet. Instead of sending it out, if you don't have one of these machines, obviously you're going to have to send them out to be sharpened, which means you've got to have a whole lot of sets of these things. And I don't have time, and I don't have enough money. Next job for this grinder is to do a plain blade. And this is a really old blade that I have had for a long time. So I'm going to give this machine a serious test today. So this is the next part of the jig. I loosen these nuts here. Feed the blade through. Now, a critical point for this is that I want the end of the plain blade to be parallel with this jig here. Sometimes on really old blades, like this one, the blade itself will not be parallel. Sometimes they're tapered. But we want this to be parallel with that. So I just adjust it a little bit, set it up approximately, and then I'm just going to use a square to check that I am parallel across the jig, then tighten it off. Okay, this one's ready to sharpen. All set up, ready to have a go at this very old Matheson blade. I'm doing up an old jointer plane. And again, they bring me this gear, so I might as well thresh it. It's very out of square, so I'm going to hit that front corner, and so I'm going to just concentrate on that spot first and not try to do the whole blade, because I'm probably going to have to readjust. That's it. So what this machine's going to do for you is it's actually going to square up the blade and give you the right bevel. I own a whetstone, and I use a whetstone a lot to fine-tune blades, but this one is in, shall I say, recovery mode. So the whetstone would just take forever to get this amount of material off. Okay, so we're in about halfway, I think, now. What this is doing for a really, really old plain blade that was very badly rounded over. Now, obviously, it's going to need a heap more work, which is okay. It's waited a while to get to me. So it's squaring up for me. It is setting a new bevel. It's a plain blade, so I'm doing it at 30 degrees, 25 for chisels. That's a good approximation, and that's before we put our secondary bevel on. As I said, if I was to do this on a Waterstone, I would be here for hours, and I would just be running out of Waterstone as fast as I flattened it. I would grind away more. So this is a quicker, much quicker process to something that is really, well, manky. Now this machine will do something else for us, and that's our drill bits. So I've had to take off the fence, and we're putting the new piece on, which bolts onto the frame. And I'm sure, like me, you've got heaps of these in your workshop. Okay, locate it into the jig, and this is how we then twist it. So we're rolling it on half of the drill bit, then I'm going to turn around, bring the whole chuck out, and do the other side. Cool. That's the money shot. I really like how you can pull this and check it, because obviously you want to get both sides ground to the same level so we end up with a center point. Okay, I'm happy now. So if you've got a blade jointer or thicknesser, rather than the new Helix ones, you are going to pay for your sharpening. This machine is going to save you downtime. You're not going to have a whole lot of extra sets of blades, and you get the bonus of being able to sharpen your hand plane blades and also the drill bits. Really accurate machine, takes off material really quickly. It's also really solid. I really like the fact that it sits on the bench so beautifully, especially with a long blade on it. So of course this machine's available at timbecon.com.au or of course in store Melbourne and Perth.